Hi, it's Tina. Welcome to my channel. Today's batch cooking day at my house. So I've made my really big salad and I've got that in the fridge. And I've made my husband's decadent oats so that he's got those in the mornings to heat up for his breakfast. I've made an entire Instant Pot full of potatoes to last me on my potato reset. And for me, it's not really a reset. I'm just kind of being a little stricter with my diet and trying to lose some extra weight. And then now I'm going to make some veggie burgers for my husband to take for his lunches. So I've done his breakfast. Now I need to do his lunches. And we do have those occasionally for our dinner as well, in a pinch if I need something. And let's get started. So what I've got, and I will do my best to measure for you, because I know some of you don't like that I'm a dump cook. And as I said, I'll say, if I've said it once, I'll say it 100 times. I'm not going to teach you to follow a recipe. I'm going to teach you to cook. And cooks don't measure every little thing. They just don't. You have to learn to throw some stuff in there and make it work. Now, Chef AJ said something really interesting, and I think that really resonates with me. She said, cooking is an art form. Baking is a science. So for baking, if you're making breads or muffins or cookies or something like that, you might need to be a little more precise because you have to have the right amount of baking soda and baking powder and some sort of moisture to replace the oil. You need to be precise about that. But for just cooking, you really don't. It's an art form. And don't be real precise and don't follow exactly what I do. You may not like what I like. Your family may not like what my family likes. So feel free to adjust spices or types of bean or types of grain. Remember that for a veggie burger, you need a grain, a bean or legume, a vegetable, and spices. And it doesn't really matter what you use in there. You can change the vegetable up. If I use a vegetable that you don't have or you don't like or you're allergic to, you don't have to use the same spices. Use what you like. You don't have to use the same grain. If I use oats, you can use rice or quinoa. You could even use cornmeal. It will work the same way. If I use pinto beans, you can use black beans or chickpeas or whatever, white beans, whatever beans you like. I use what I have on hand. That doesn't mean that you have the same thing in your refrigerator or in your pantry. So just get the basic concept of it down as that I need a grain, a bean, some vegetables, and some spices, and you'll be fine. Be sure to pay attention to the consistency and what it looks like before I cook it, and then get your cook times down. If you use the same ones that I use, you should be fine. Okay? So let's get started here. This is the last jar of this type of bean that I have, and if you'll remember, I did these pinto beans with rice in them. That was one of my videos there. So that's what those looked like when they were done. So I'm going to measure out for you. Sorry, there goes my Rommel. Every video I do, he's got a bark. And we'll see how many cups we use in this. Rommel, shh, 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 shh. Come on, come on. Okay, there's 1 cup. I'd say we're probably gonna need about 2 cups. And this is beans and rice. Feel free to use just beans if you want, or beans and quinoa, whatever you've got in your fridge. Okay, there's 2 cups. And I'm just going to kind of smush those a little bit into this bowl. I want them, about half of them to be whole and half to be smashed. just to be able to incorporate them and still have some really nice texture. So I'm just using my spoon. Okay, there we go. Now, I have got some mushrooms and I'd like to incorporate those in. And I'm going to use my food processor. Let's fill up that same measuring cup. With 1 cup of sliced mushrooms. Let's put those in the food processor. And I've got just a little bit of shredded carrots left in the fridge. So let's see what that measures out to be. Just using what I've got on hand. And that's about 1/2 cup in there. Forgot to get me a towel. Okay, and then I've got some baby spinach. And see, I got that on sale because it was about to expire. It's slightly wilted, but not too bad. But I certainly want to use it before it goes bad. So let's see what we get for our measurements here. There's 1 cup. Okay, then let's just blend it all up. We want to blend enough so that the mushrooms and the spinach are really fine, but still have some texture. So kind of like a crumble. Yeah, that looks good. We want them to have some texture. How's that? See there? And there's our vegetables for our veggie burgers. Going to add just a little bit of walnuts because I got walnuts on sale. Well, they weren't actually on sale. This was their regular price, but it was a discount store for 99 cents for black walnuts. We know that walnuts are really healthy, and we know that if you are maintaining weight or trying to gain weight, nuts are a good way for you to get your omega-3s. Now, as I've said before, my husband walks 14 miles a day, 5 to 6 days a week for his job. He needs protein, he needs omega-3s, and he needs calories. So I give him things like this in his lunches whenever I can. And I'm just going to measure out what was left in that bag. I got those for 99 cents, and that was just a bargain for black walnuts, and that's about a 1/4 cup. And you know what? If I'd had a 1/2 cup in that bag, I would have thrown it in. Don't you worry about it. Then mix those up. Now, what walnuts do in a veggie burger is give it a very meaty-like texture. So when you bite into it, you're going to feel like you're biting into a burger. Mushrooms help to do that with flavor as well. All right. Now let's see. This isn't a very wet mixture, so I don't think we're going to need a whole lot of oats. Let's do 1 cup and see how that works. Now before I actually pour these in, let's add the spices. I think it'll be easier to incorporate the spices into the bean mixture before I add the oats. So I've got some cumin, I'm going to do about a half a tablespoon of that cumin. And chili powder. About a half a tablespoon there. Garlic. Let's do a teaspoon of garlic. And we've got some onion powder. Notice I'm using powders, not salts. I don't want any salt, any oil, any sugar in my food. And let's do 2 teaspoons of onion. And that powder's really fine, getting all over. Okay, then I've got some minced onion. Since I didn't chop up any onion, I'm just going to put some of this minced onion in there. And I'm going to use a full tablespoon of that. Probably a heaping tablespoon. Because I like the texture, again, of having that, the minced onion in there. See, and it's a lot easier to incorporate those spices, I think, in the bean mixture before I put the oats in. And this is a little drier than it would be, probably because my beans had the rice in there and there wasn't a lot of extra juice. So let's start with half a cup of oats and see if we need more. We actually need the full cup. Yeah, you should be able to see the consistency of that real good. There we go. Now remember, if your batter's dry, your burger's going to be dry. So what I'm going to do, let me step around you 1 second. I've got a little bit of veggie broth, just from something else that I cooked and I retained the broth. Let me get a can opener for it. Sometimes my jars really seal good. Let's go 1, 2. Let's start with 2. I'm just adding some moisture back into mine. Again, get the science down to it. Realize that if your batter's too dry, your burgers will be dry. Nobody wants to bite into a really dry burger. Yeah, we're not going to need the rest of that oats. Just a half a cup was fine for that. Because we already had the rice in with the beans and rice. Now, if you're just using straight beans in yours, go ahead and add the full cup. Now that's better. See the consistency there? That's going to hold together nicely without being too dry. See if we can clean up some of this mess so you can see me make the burgers. Now, with my setup, I have a very limited time, and if you'll notice, I don't edit my videos at all. I show you what I'm doing as I do it. And I don't film later what it looks like all finished, because I think you should be able to kind of get the general idea of it. The veggie burger isn't going to look a whole lot different once it's cooked than it did when it was going into the oven. However, if you really want to see what the finished product looks like, go over to my Facebook page. It's called Tina Turner Plant-Based Recipes. And what I do is I upload the video there, and then I take a snapshot picture of the finished product before we eat it, because sometimes there's 3 or 4 hours between the time that I film this for you and put it on YouTube, then when we actually pull it out of the pot and my family eats it. So what I do is I take a snapshot and then I post that, and so you'll see the video and then you'll see the finished product. So if you're ever curious as to what a dish looks like when it's finished, follow me over there. And I've tried to put that link on my channel, but I think because I'm a brand new channel, YouTube is just not letting me add links. It puts the address there, but not a true link. So you can always just type that in, or you can go to Facebook and you can search Tina Turner plant-based recipes, and you'll find me. Now I have got my cookie sheet with my silicone mat because I always use these instead of parchment paper. That is my way of helping to preserve the environment. Every little bit that we conserve, I think, makes a difference. Now I'm just going to pull this up. My hands are clean, don't you worry. And I'm going to form it into a nice patty. Now be sure you've got your sides nice and clean and even. When you have uneven sides, that's where it dries out. So that's where you run the risk of it being real dry, is on your edges. They'll kind of get crumbly if they're not real smooth and clean. And you don't want that. And just form it with your hand, just like you would any other burger. See how pretty that looks? You can see the carrots, you can see the spinach, you can see little bits of oats, and even a few whole beans in there. So that's going to give a nice bite when you bite into it. We've got lots of spices, we've got lots of flavors. And I don't know if I've said this before, but if you'll notice in my cooking, I pay attention to my colors. I try to get as many colors as I can in my food. And I did this long before I was even plant-based, because I feel that if we cook by the rainbow, the more colors we have, the more nutrients we are adding to our food. I also pay special attention to getting all of my food groups in. So whether I'm making a stew or a soup or a veggie burger, I have my legumes, my grains, my greens, my onions and garlic, and a non-starchy vegetable. Sometimes I'll have a starchy vegetable as well, but I want to be sure that I get some sort of non-starchy vegetable. So for our greens, we've got our spinach. For our non-starchy vegetable, we have some pieces of onion in there, as well as our carrots. Then we've got our grains with our oats and our rice. And our legumes, of course, is our pinto beans. So we've pretty much got our food groups covered as far as the vegan food pyramid goes anyway. Now I'm going to put these in the oven at 350 degrees for 20 minutes. Then I'm going to pull them out and I'm going to let them cool. And that's the secret to having a good veggie burger. If you do not let it cool in between flipping it, it will be an absolute mess. It will smush up as you try to grab it. It will crumble. You will end up with a misshapen patty. And that's the secret for getting a good, consistent patty. Let that cool. I'd say a good 10 minutes. And then I flip it. And then I bake it. I do 20 minutes the first time and 15 minutes the second time at 375. So 20 minutes, cool 10, flip, and then 15 more minutes. Okay? And if you want to see a picture of them when they're done, I'll take a picture and I'll put it on the Facebook group. So if you like my recipes, be sure and share them. If you have any questions, comment. I always try to check the comment section. Let me know how you think. Have a good day.